And he played for the Saints, of course, from 2001 through 2008, and was part of their team in 2009, which was a pretty special year. He's the leading rusher in franchise history with 6,096 yards, the leader in touchdowns rushing, 49, 54 touchdowns overall, named in the Pro Bowl twice. He's been inducted into the Saints Hall of Fame, the All-State Sugar Bowl, Greater New Orleans Sports Hall of Fame, the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, and the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame, and some other Hall of Fames to come. Check your dial and you'll find out, right? He now serves as color analyst and a talk show host as well on WWL Radio and the Saints Radio Network. And of course, the Saints open their 2017 season at Minnesota against the Vikings Monday night. Please give a warm Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation Quarterback Club welcome to Deuce McAllister. Deuce.
Good afternoon. I'm going to show you this paper right quick because there's nothing there. All right, so you don't have to worry. From myself, I will speak obviously about the Saints and talk about New Orleans high school football as well as Tulane, as well as LSU. I think I'm going to have to separate these two to my left over here though. Just listening to them, I want to thank the foundation for allowing me just to be able to come up and speak for a little while and congratulate my young man. I know she had to leave earlier, but congratulations for all your hard work. Keep working, continued success. Mr. J, I got a question for you. You take him the mic. Take him the mic. So this is kind of odd, right?
Yes, sir, Deuce.
I know your schedule is full, but when are we going to have a kickoff classic in New Orleans?
Well, I think Verge kind of answered that question. That they're working on it with the Sugar Bowl right now. We would obviously support that effort, but you know, scheduling that has to be a long way out.
3 years max.
3 years max, and we thought about some multiple scenarios of potential doubleheader games or games that would play consecutive nights. But you know, scheduling and making sure the financial ends meet is the toughest piece of it. You know, with the guarantees that I saw Verge was quoted on the guarantees that LSU received this year from Texas, and I think that BYU probably was in the $1.5 to $2 million range also. That would be around $5.5 to $6 million in guarantees. Well, to make that up in New Orleans, given you really have to have the right mix of teams,
Correct.
And the right schedule, and the right fan base and traveling. So it's a risk. It's a financial risk. So that when you weigh out those two things, that's probably why it hadn't happened already. But it's always on our radar screen, and you know, we work hand in hand with Sugar Bowl on the national championship game, college football, and other events. So hopefully we can have something on our calendar, and maybe LSU will be maybe even Tulane, who knows, will be the spark to get that to happen every year.
We only want $100.
Y'all heard him here first.
Well, I just had to ask. I mean, obviously, I think they've done successful. You know, like Verge talked about there. You know, just the markets and the different places. So it's just a question I have for you.
It's a great question.
No problem. Well, if you hadn't been out, you know, I know it's early, and if you hadn't gotten your season tickets for LSU, Newman, and/or Tulane, do so. Do so, as well as the Saints. I mean, I know that's down the line, but just to support the teams that are here, support the high schools that are here in our state, and then the others as well. I mean, you may not be able to go to every game, but as you can see or as you've heard, the financial piece is very critical, and that's to any organization, but particularly when you talk about the high school sports as well as the college athletics piece, that's how they have to survive. Some have it a little bit better because of other factors, TV deals, etc. But I mean, it still plays a part of the fans being able to come out, support, buying season tickets, supporting those student athletes. And I mean, we're just not talking about on the college level, we're talking on the high school level as well. And so whether it's the booster club, whether it's, you know, their version of a booster club, whatever it may be, support them because they definitely need it. To talk about the New Orleans Saints and just where do they go from this standpoint, this year it was a unique situation for them to carry 90 players all the way from OTAs, which were basically May until this past weekend, to get down to 53 was a tough task. I mean, because you're literally cutting 37 players. Now, they had an opportunity to bring 10 of those players back to their practice squad, and they will go with a roster of 53 players. Right now, I don't think that roster is officially complete. I think it'll be one that in works all the way up probably until Friday or Saturday. The players that are currently on the roster, they hadn't officially made the team until I think it's 3 p.m. today. So there still may be some different movement of that roster, and you really don't understand a lot of it, the business side of it, until you're either older or later on in your career. I mean, because a lot of those guys, when they got the call on Saturday, they felt like that they had made it. Then you see them make, you know, 1 or 2 moves on Sunday, and there will probably be 1 or 2 moves again today, and you know, probably 1 or 2 moves after New England and Kansas City play on Thursday. But you know, that's the part of the NFL that you have to deal with, and you know, you just try to prepare yourself to go out and play. When you look at this team, and I've had an opportunity to really be able to go to a lot of the practices in May, pretty much all of the practices, as well as throughout mini camp, as well as training camp. I see an improved team. Now, improved doesn't necessarily mean that they'll win more games. 7-9 will be tough again, you know, if that is the case. I think that they will be better than that record, but everybody else in their division has gotten better as well. And so you look at some of the moves that Atlanta made. You know, obviously they represented the NFC in the Super Bowl last year. Previous year was Carolina, and you look at what they've been able to do with their team, and obviously Tampa as well, a young team that has given us fits at time, and I think that will be the case again this year. But just looking at the New Orleans Saints, they've kind of been snake bitten, so to speak, when you look at Armstead, when you look at Bro, being 2 guys that you're definitely counting on that won't be a part of it for the full ride. I think that they will get Armstead back probably after the bye week, which for them would be outstanding, and then Bro will be back at earliest is after 8 games or week 9 for himself. So he's got a little time to overcome some injuries. And you know, when you look at the draft class that they were able to draft, and every one of those guys were able to make the active roster, I think it was one that improved overall, not only team speed but depth at a lot of different positions, which is needed in this league. No team will be able to go with the starting 53 that they have now and complete, you know, 16 games. It's not going to happen. So you better have good depth, or you better have a good practice squad or scouting department that can go and identify players that will fit into what you're trying to do. You know, it all starts with Coach Payton and Drew Brees, and you know, just his ability to be able to play at the highest level like he has done has been, you know, just really something that you just sit back and just shake your head, you know. And the question for myself, probably about a year or 2 ago, was asked, how long does he have? I mean, I said 3 years, and that was 2 years ago. And I can probably say 3 years again right now. I mean, because he has not slowed. His ability to be able to diagnose defenses, his ability to be able to understand what teams are doing to him, and then to know his own body. I mean, he understands and knows that maybe a deep ball that he has to get rid of it, maybe a second before the receiver is looking, maybe 2 seconds before the receiver is looking. And I mean, it's going to take a lot of reps for him to be able to get on the same pages with those guys, but that's what he goes out, he's a perfectionist, he wants to win, he wants to succeed. So I expect him to have an outstanding year again this year. Obviously in the backfield, he has a lot of help, not only with Mark Ingram, but with Adrian Peterson and Alvin Kamara. What those three guys can do, they can be fits for any defensive coordinator. And how they will use them really depends on the success that they have on first down. I mean, we talked about, okay, where will the touches come from? Well, with Kamara, you can do a lot of different things with him. He'll be able to contribute on special teams. He can contribute on third downs, but he's shown that he could help on first down as well. And so to be able to stick him in as a wild card kind of guy, that's how Sean will use him. And then when you talk about Mark and Adrian, both of those guys can play first, second, and third down. You know, probably a little bit more so with Mark on passing downs on third down because he does pick up the blitz so well. So just looking at it from an offensive standpoint, they have the different pieces to kind of play the smash mouth game with 3 tight ends or 2 tight ends set and a fullback. Even though currently they don't have one on the roster, I think they'll be making that move very shortly. I think you got some gamemanship going on there, and then some roster shuffling there with what they want to accomplish there. But you know, if they want to play smash mouth or be able to spread it out, now not having Willie Snead does complicate it a little bit. So you're asking a guy, Tommy Lee Lewis, you're asking a Brandon Coleman, and even Fleener to step up a little bit, and so they'll have every opportunity to be able to do so with Drew, because he's going to spread the ball around. And so you just want those guys not necessarily to carry the team, just to be consistent. And so I think that they have the ability to do so when you talk about them offensively. The offense, I believe, will be a top 10 offense again. The question is the defense, and it's been that way for the last couple of years. And I think that they finally gotten it right with DA being able to, you know, continue to put his mold on that unit. We've been looking for a rush in opposite of Cam Jordan for the last couple of years, and we felt like Akaha was that guy to be able to do so. He was banged up. You bring in Alex Okafor, who has done a pretty good job. He's been banged up himself. So, I mean, if it has to be done by committee from that spot, it's not the ideal way that you would want it, but it gets the job done. And so from that spot alone, you know, 3 guys, 4 guys, to be able to get to double-digit sacks is not inconceivable. 2 people that I really think that haven't gotten enough credit on that staff are Ryan Nielsen and Mike Nolan. I think they've done an outstanding job with the defensive line and the linebackers. I mean, because even though they're faster, you don't have as many busts. You know, those guys are able to put in a system and let those guys play. I don't think that they are trying to trick offenses as much as just trying to put their players in the best position to be able to be successful. And, you know, sacks would be great, but I think for that defense, it's about turnovers. And we saw them be able to create a few of them. I think Marcus Williams will be the ball hawk that they need. Lattimore, you know, he's got to make sure that and understand that he's got to take care of his body. He's got to understand that he's got to, you know, be able to get in the cold tub, see the masseuse, chiropractor, whatever it takes to be as close as to 100% on Sunday. That's what he's got to do. I mean, talent is not the question. Him being available and him believing in himself, that's what it's going to be about. So overall, I think that it's a improved team. Coming out the gate, you have a gauntlet of a schedule. Most people think that Minnesota will be, I won't say an easy task, but their defense will be one of the toughest that they face. And so it'll be interesting to see how Sean tries to attack them. They just picked up Tremaine Brock, who was one of the cornerbacks for San Francisco. So secondary, they're really good. Have Xavier Rhodes, who's one of the top corners in the NFL. Terrence Newman, who's probably my age, and he's still playing really good at corner. Played for a long time. He's been with Zimmerman for a long time, so he knows the tricks of the trade. They have probably one of the best. Harrison Barnes is one of the best safeties in the NFL, so it'll be a tough task. And you look at their linebacker core, probably 2 of the top 5 in the NFL as well. And then you talk about the defensive ends as well as the tackles. Points will be hard to come by, but you know, I think if they can create some turnovers for that offense, the Saints can put enough points on the board where they should be able to get out of Minnesota with a victory, but it will not be easy. And then obviously to open against New England, the defending Super Bowl champion, and they will be coming off of 10 days rest. Doesn't bode well, for you as far as the Saints are concerned, but you have to play the game. And so that's what they'll try to do, and be able to put the best game plan together. But I think it's first and foremost try to get that one on the road against Minnesota, and at least you have some confidence, and they're going to need all the fans as possible, to get behind them when they do open at home. We can talk football. Y'all can ask me some questions. College, high school, whatever you think. Pro as
Questions
well.
for Deuce, we'll get the microphone to you.
Who do you think would be the punt and kickoff returners?
Punt and kickoff returns. Fair catch guy. The fair catch guy the regular returner will either be Ted Ginn Jr. or Alvin Kamara. I think those will be the two regular returners. They can put Tommy Lee back there as well, but the regular guys, that's who it'll be. We've seen them put Crawley back there a little bit as well, but I think he's really just probably going to be the fair catch guy. The other guy would be Willie, but he's not available for the first 3 games, who is also a fair catch guy. On the kickoff side, it's probably going to be Alvin Kamara and probably Daniel Lasco. Probably Daniel Lasco is the other up-back returner type guy as well.
They say the Tampa at Miami game scheduled for Sunday will probably have to be moved out of Florida because of the hurricane. Is there any word yet on that?
Well, right now, I think they may even cancel it altogether and probably try to play it at a later date, just because of the hurricane. So they hadn't officially ruled on it, but you probably hear something today or tomorrow. I mean, because both locations, neither are kind of playable. I mean, the only other would be to go to another city and play it. I don't think that they're going to do that. So it'll be some schedule shuffling that they will have to try to do, but I don't think that they're going to be playing in Miami or Tampa this week.
Speak of your impressions of Adrian Peterson. How much do you think he's still got left in the tank, and do you think he's being accepted not being the starter here?
He's listed as co-starter. I don't know if that really means anything, unless he has an incentive in his contract. Doesn't matter who touched the ball at the beginning of the game. It's really closing out the game. And any running back wants the ball 20 times. They may say they don't, but they want it at least 20 times. Same thing with a receiver. I mean, he wants 10 catches, probably 15 targets. And so he's been great just to get to know off the field. I've known Adrian. We had the same agent when I was playing, and we had the same group. So I've known him ever since he came out of Oklahoma. I think for him was just finding the right fit, and it's going to be a work in progress. I mean, I can't say that it will be perfect. He and Mark will probably be mad, and not necessarily at each other, but at Sean, because Sean will run his offense how he sees fit. And as we all know, he's gonna sub. He's gonna sub, and so he has a vision and what he sees and what he thinks, he has to do as far as players are concerned. And personnel-wise, you're either gonna fit in this group or you're not. And so he's gonna mix and match. But I think what's important for both of those guys is closing it out. And so the more that he can show that he can do, particularly running routes, and being able to at least come in and pick up, the blitz on third down, that's only going to help him, because now defenses can't necessarily game plan so much for him. I'm interested to see will teams continue to walk 8 in the box and give him that respect that he's always gotten. And, that's going to leave it one-on-one, whether it's Mike Thomas, whether it's Ginn or Fleener. One of those guys is going to have a one-on-one opportunity, and Drew will check to it, and, we'll see what happens from there. But, as far as what he's got in the tank, he's got it. I mean, the unique thing here, you're not asking him to run for 1,000 yards. And I think the number probably is around 700. So if he gets to 700 yards, it's a heck of a year. I mean, because when you technically look at it, I don't know, if you look at 16 games, I don't know out of 16 games how many times he will have 20 carries. Maybe 4, maybe 5. So the opportunities won't be there. And so for him to be able to come in and understand that and be willing to, I mean, I think it speaks not only to him, but, you know, just the team selling him their vision of how they want to use him as well.
Any others?
Yes, sir.
Over here, Stan.
I just want to thank you for coming to our community and staying in New Orleans. And like another guy from Mississippi that played for Ole Miss, and that we appreciate the insight that you bring with the color.
Yes, sir. Well, I surely appreciate it. And I mean, New Orleans has been home for me for the last 16 years. And, you know, it's not far from Mississippi where I grew up, so I'm familiar with it from there. So, you know, everyone has been welcoming, and, you know, I'm just happy to be a part of the community.